The term free money is a paradox. Conceptually, the phrase can refer to unrequested benefits or other utilitarian rewards that are given without labor or action, but in a literal sense, free money in terms of monetary compensation is a myth. This may seem like a cynical approach to the world. Philanthropy and charitable giving are undeniable realities, but the stone cold economic truth is that money changing hands almost always operates to the benefit of someone or something other than the recipient. In the case of charities, there are tax implications, employment opportunities, and moral gratification. Money changes hands to the benefit of many involved, but it is not in a literal sense free money. Likewise, when goods and services are exchanged, a rewards program may seem like free money in the sense that after 9 Starbucks lattes or whatever else, your 10th is free. But the rewards program is not free money or free products, it is rather a carefully calculated loyalty system to increase customer retention and profit, while sacrificing a modicum of that profit to psychologically entice repeated patronage. The ultimate question is cui bono, Latin for as to benefit whom, and this question is something that we should always be asking ourselves, especially as the social structure we live in evolves at a near exponential rate. Operating under such a mindset of skepticism, what is the outcome when the term cui bono is applied to social media giveaways? To clarify, since the scope of social media and charitable giving is so vast, who stands to benefit from Twitter giveaways where the sole entry requirement is a retweet? The answer is the hosts themselves. And to go even further, unlike many other forms of giveaway incentives, Twitter retweet competitions more often than not result in no financial benefit for the participants, going so far as to even be malicious scams designed to steal rather than give. This is not to say that all such competitions are invalid. In truth, it is a highly desirable and appealing concept to believe that someone out there is just giving away life-changing sums of money, but the reality is that many of these systems and identities have been carefully crafted to exploit user hope and good faith to the benefit of an individual or group that does not legitimately manage, control, or ever disperse the winnings they so vocally claim to be giving out of the goodness of their heart. This brings us to the real subject matter, retweet giveaways, the scourge of social media. To really begin, let's start with the whale, the Sugar Dad 1. Many viewers will likely have heard the name before, or if not, at least seen one of the posts in the past. The account has since been exposed for what it is, and there is a wealth of information on the subject, but I'll do my best to tell the story in an entertaining way. Earlier this year, an account sprang up by the name The Sugar Dad 1. The account anonymously promised to give thousands of dollars to those that retweeted the announcements, and very quickly, under the ruse of free money, word began to spread. The account rapidly grew, offering frequent giveaways in the tens of thousands of dollars, but increased scrutiny and the promise of riches will not only attract a gullible audience of fans, it will also begin to attract skeptics. Over time, various internet detectives sunk their teeth in, and there was blood in the water. There are some threads I will link down below as well as videos to explain further, but the basic timeline is as follows. Evidence began to surface that the Sugar Dad 1 was faking his wealth, and simply tricking the masses into growing his profile under false promises. It started with evidence of transaction discrepancies. Then it became clear that while claiming to operate under a business account, the Sugar Dad 1 was faking transactions far in excess of the $10,000 United States PayPal transfer cap. As a business account holder myself, having received payments from Curse LLC, the multi-channel network I partner with here on YouTube, I can personally attest to this segmented $10,000 cap. If, say, the transaction is $12,000, it will be 2 transactions in the sum of $10,000 plus the remainder. The Sugar Dad 1 had failed to research this. In tandem, it can be proven that manipulating website data to show falsified PayPal metrics and numbers is extremely easy to do. A simple command prompt is available and tutorials in circulation detailing how to make your display balance and transaction details resemble any amount you desire. But in reality, it is only a local display and not a transaction officially processed through PayPal. Alongside this evidence were a host of other issues. PayPal confirmed in a private message chain that the transaction screenshot linked directly to them from his verified giveaway was faked, and upon further examination and social media digging, a YouTuber by the name Jules uncovered that the true identity of this individual was a young 20s kid named Max Dunnigan. The web of lies, however, was complex. In his pursuit of bolstering credibility, Max had tied in his own girlfriend to give false testimonial of the Sugar Dad's legitimacy, and with his falsified reputation unraveling, he became defensive and frantic. Posts started getting deleted, accounts suspended, and the sum total of the circumstances, as it can be measured today, is a total collapse of what can only be described as a fraud on every conceivable level, promising wealth and offering nothing but lies in return. Now we turn to the motivation. The primary goal behind this type of activity is to spur social media growth. The premise behind requiring retweets is to spread awareness and extract a following from that process. This is used all over social media and predominantly on Twitter by an innumerable amount of users. I myself hosted a giveaway a long time ago of Battlefield 1 copies during its launch. Follow the channel, retweet the stream, and have a chance at one of 3 digital codes for Battlefield 1 that I had received from a friend for that very purpose. This is by no means a claim that every single giveaway you see is somehow fraudulent, but when it comes to direct monetary compensation in return for social media metrics, especially when the frequency of the posts is relatively high, it's time to investigate further. In the case of the sugar dad, that is exactly what happened, and this young 20s child witnessed his fabricated identity go up in smoke, as it rightly should, for his deception and willingness to prey on the hopes and dreams of those who need it most. But keeping with the metaphor and definition of this whale being a top of the food chain scammer in terms of projection and growth, we must now recognize that where there are whales, there are shrimp. At the bottom of the food chain, but with like-minded principles, there are those that offer $100 giveaways or $10 giveaways if their post is retweeted. One such individual, and someone to whom I have directed criticism on this channel in the past, is Regal Andrew. To summarize the past interactions, Regal Andrew approached a friend of mine with the goal of securing her partnership in his organization. They ran a charity stream together where she, with no possible dispute to this whatsoever, was the entire driving force behind it, but he neglected to assemble any of the required infrastructure. It was then that I began to dig deeper and uncovered that the organization Regal was hosting a recruitment challenge, a challenge that dictated users should produce and edit content with the hope of securing a solitary slot in the mansion that was shown on screen and claimed to be the Regal Mansion. This mansion was a house still publicly available on the market, and one that there was no intention of purchasing or renting anytime soon. After this coverage, the floodgates opened. I received massive amounts of testimonial on the subject, and it became clear the underlying goal was to manufacture social media growth with the competition, while in the past, under similar circumstances, winners were cut loose immediately after the event's conclusion. The Twitter account that Regal maintains as its current largest social media hub presence is a hacked celebrity account bought from disreputable third parties. Partner accounts were leveraged via means that do not conform to Twitter terms of service, resulting in partner suspension. And top to bottom, the organization throws up red flags everywhere, from its founder Andrew and his bare bones past LLC operations, which hold no verifiably positive consumer testimonial other than a friend of his from college, all the way to the deletion of evidence when it became clear that a false claim of property ownership was being made, which is outside the confines of the law. I will link the 2 videos on the subject down below, and there is quite a bit more evidence and topic discussion contained within them, but the gist of it is the organization, and more specifically its leadership, should be treated with the utmost skepticism and caution. But now it's time to draw correlations. Max Dunnigan was a young 20s clout chaser who, much like Icarus, flew too close to the sun in his pursuit of social media relevance and got burned. Andrew is much the same, with one distinction. Andrew appears to operate on a smaller and more reserved scale, while still capitalizing on the same desperation and hope that made the sugar dad's rise to fame possible. Andrew runs countless giveaways for small sums of money under the guise of generosity, but it's time to ask, cui bono? The effect of these giveaways is social media exposure, and one could argue at this stage that in a mutually beneficial offering where a user gives monetary funds in return for somewhat viral marketing, that there is nothing to complain about, and rightly so. In a verifiable transaction where something is offered and then given, there is nothing to analyze, but among these frequent giveaways, something is amiss. If you trace back the history of the offerings, there are examples like this: a giveaway in partnership with another user who sent Regal Andrew $110 of his own money to give away and cover transaction fees. The goal, as always, social media metric growth, but this user had their Twitter account suspended shortly after, before the giveaway was launched. Regal Andrew's response was the following.
Also, it's not my fault that your friend got suspended. Again, I know that it's an unfortunate situation. If you want to do another giveaway and me to tag, I'm willing to chip in my own money, which I normally never do. All my giveaways are sponsored, but I understand in certain circumstance. But at the same time, you gotta understand my reputation relies on this too. And no offense, I'm not trying to sound like a fucking dick, but I have a lot of things I have to worry about. A lot more as an org owner than someone who potentially is not an org owner does. So it's not his fault either. Actually, it's really kind of is. I don't know why you'd get your account suspended. I mean, I feel really bad for him if he was innocent, but at the same time, you got to do something on Twitter to get your account suspended.
If we harken back to how the official Regal Twitter has been suspended in the past for violating terms of service, it's interesting to note a circumvention of personal accountability then and a reliance on it now. To be banned, they must have done something wrong, etc. But looking past that, there is protested innocence, an emphasis on legitimacy by him continuing on with the event, regardless of the fact that the partner who actually paid for it would now be unable to receive the beneficial effect, and a final claim that he has more on his plate than others, and no one will understand because he is an org owner. The most important thing, however, is the line about never using his own funds for giveaways. Despite a historic projection of wealth at every possible juncture, Regal Andrew avoids using his own money for these contests, instead accepting money through PayPal from another source so he can repeatedly announce it for metric engagement growth, and in a circumstance where the partner is now unable to be a beneficiary, continues on regardless. Except he didn't. Scrolling through his active timeline, there is no evidence that I could find of the agreed upon mutual sponsored giveaway, or a commensurate giveaway for that matter, as claimed in his broadcast. The timeline is a mishmash of self-retweets, cluttered attention-seeking, and loudly proclaimed testimonial, so if I somehow missed an indication, feel free to correct me here, but where have we seen similarities like this before? The Sugar Dad, a young 20s attention seeker using his parents' money, intent on expanding a social media following under false pretenses, outpaced his own abilities and control. Regal Andrew, a young 20s attention seeker who quite possibly is relying on his parents since no verifiable income source exists, let alone one to support all of the claims that he makes, intent on expanding a social media following under false pretenses, evidenced by previous recruitment challenges and falsely advertised property ownership, seems to be operating under a much more reserved set of personal guidelines, but the effect here, in this particular instance, is almost worse. Fundamentally, this is an operation where money is funneled through a business PayPal, since previous testimonial clearly shows that Regal Reserve LLC is responsible for speculative payouts, funneled by individuals who are paying for this young 20s self-professed org owner to promote growth metrics in a nebulous, ill-constructed format. Make no mention of the taxation and compliance guidelines for running giveaway operations through a company when the capital is being channeled from outside sources. There is no accountability here. A deeper analysis of the feed will show that many of the events do not have an announced winner or take the form of a benchmark requirement of social media engagement to even unfold, and seem to disappear when that benchmark is not met. Considering the proclamation that personal money is never used, only sponsors, when these metric benchmarks fail, what is really happening? An even more problematic realization is that in the past, Regal Andrew has had a biography claim that he has given $100,000 in giveaways and donations, but when working with any substantial sum, there are IRS stipulations. Recipients must register their winnings and file particular forms for sweepstakes claims that exceed $500 in one sum, or the company itself must file properly for sweepstakes totaling $5,000 or more for all prizes. I cannot speak with absolute certainty on the viability and integrity of this operation, but as it stands, when asking cui bono, the answer is Regal Andrew. There are also witness statements I have been sent, such as the following. I approached one of the people whom ran a giveaway with Andrew, and he said, send money to blank PayPal, and you can be added to my next giveaway. I questioned why I couldn't send the dollars myself to the winner, to no response. I will again clarify that none of this is yet definitive proof that the format is one of malicious exploitation. In fact, on a basic level, the framework is rather well crafted. If accusations surface of unethical behavior, simply offer a few legitimate and credible segments. One could even periodically skim funds from intermittent postings and feed the winnings back into a close friend's wallet. The vast majority are, in effect, low-cost marketing being paid for by others. So any winners that fail to answer or that are chosen in bad faith result in pure profit. Ultimately, any one, all, or almost none of these giveaways could be real or fake. Testimonials certainly exist, and some appear to be credible, but others do not, and situations that raise questions of where the money went and whether or not from a procedural standpoint any of it is above board are rampant. In the ocean of social media, there are thousands of shrimp, many sharks, and even some whales. The Sugar Dad was a whale that went down in a blaze of glory, but many more of the actors leveraging hope and desperation for easy growth are still out there. My desire with this video is to caution anyone who watches against putting up their own money for a giveaway such as this under any circumstances. Not only that, but to caution against letting their hopes rise as they place trust in a social media child. Maintain a grounded mindset because exploitation of crowd optimism is a very real thing. People may wonder if this topic is even worth it, and in response I would offer up the following. For a case like the Sugar Dad, there was an army of skeptics ready to defend those that need it. For a shrimp like Regal Andrew, the opposition is far less vocal. After my initial coverage, there was an outpouring of appreciation and thanks, as those who have been wronged by the organization and Andrew himself came to me. I would never project an air of superiority because, in truth, my only initial motivation was that he had negatively impacted my friend, and I am vindictive to a brutal extreme while holding grudges forever. But after the dust settled and I digested his response calling for me to be more responsible with the platform that I have, I took it to heart. I myself have very specific moments of personal growth in my past where situations were handled improperly as a result of my own actions to an absolute extreme, but a pattern of lies and shady circumstances with no upward trajectory of improvement is worthy of criticism. Andrew, stop negatively impacting the creators around you with a disingenuous claim of altruism. Start doing your homework and run a reputable organization. That's it for today. If you want to support, there's links down below, Twitter, Patreon, merch, all the good stuff, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. Thank you all for watching, and have a nice night.